You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis. Join Steve and his guests every week as he staggers from Georgia to Maine.
Hi, and thanks for coming again to Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis again. I should rename that first one to the penultimate midlife crisis. I'm now having another midlife crisis going a second time. This show isn't going to be as structured as perhaps our normal shows. I can't really edit. I haven't really got the time to edit, to be honest with you. And so we're just going to try to wing it a little bit. Hopefully you'll get something from this. I'm going to tell you about my 0 day, which is really the day zero, which is the day I flew up from Sarasota, then my day 1, then day 2. Somebody is going to tell us a little story as well. And I'm going to try to get these out sometime on Thursdays and Mondays if possible. But you just have to bear with me. I'm not sure how this is going to work out because getting enough getting a signal is going to be more and more of an issue. But this is really what's going on. You know, we are. I'm in the forest. You can hear people talking now, and I'm at Gooch Mountain Shelter. But let's hear what happened on day 0. Well, it's Monday, the 25th of February. It's nearly 10 p.m., which means it's the end of day 0. Day 0 is the day before I start on the trail. I flew up from Sarasota this morning to Atlanta, caught a train to a place called Marta. No, it's called the Marta train, that's right, to a place called Doraville. And Anna Huthmaker, my trail dame friend, came to pick me up. It's been a great evening with her parents, her friend Pam, and 2 listeners to the show, Robert Thomas and his wife Margaret, who came to visit us, which was really lovely of them. I'm kind of nervous, I've got to admit. I've got a lovely room in Anna's basement. I've got a very cozy bedroom, and I don't know, it's that time when you start getting inside your head and start second-guessing yourself, I suppose. Some of Anna's friends are taking me to the trail tomorrow, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to that. They're going to take me to the car park down the forest road or the logging road, so I can climb up to Springer, about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile up to Springer, touch the top, and start my 5 million step journey. Looking forward to it a lot. But I'll give you a report tomorrow night. Day 1, February the 26th. I had a pretty bad dream about one of my sons overnight. He was freezing and I felt I had to quit the trail and go and help him out. And so I was so disappointed. So when I woke up, I think I needed a sign to know that I really wanted to go on this trip. And I think that was my sign. I don't know whether it was or not. And I was in Anna's, in her basement, slept in her basement last night, and there was a sound that I'd forgotten when I was here last time. I was in the shower this morning. It was the sound of distant trains, and had that so many times up and down the Appalachian Trail. I don't hear that in Florida, but the sound of distant trains was one of those memories that came back from those 5 years ago. Anna had to go to work today, so, and by the way, I'm recording this in my tent. It's pitch dark, and we're at Hawk Mountain Shelter, at the end of day 1. But how I got here, Anna's friend Pam and our other friend Rosanna came and drove me to Springer. We went up the forest road, which was nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be terribly washed out because I've had so much rain the last few weeks. It was another beautiful, beautiful day, as it was yesterday when I came up on the train from Atlanta Station to Anna's. And so we met a woman called Sue and her dog in the car park who were friends of Anna's and Pam's and Rosanna's. So the 3 women and I walked up to Springer, and I took the decision, which was an easy decision to make actually, not to take my backpack because there was no real point. I was going up there, coming back down again. So I went up there without a backpack and just my trekking poles, which was marvellous, by the way. I highly recommend that to anybody who does this. And went up and suddenly we were at the top. It was a very, very easy climb. It was 0.9 of a mile, I believe it was. A simple climb. And I got to you suddenly emerge and there you are at the start. And I remember, of course, I came up last time on the approach trail. And I was quite emotional going up there. I don't know why, I just was. It was the start of something really dramatic. And so the women joined me eventually and we took some photographs by the sign and I made I improved on my start last time where I hit my head on the very first step. And this time I didn't hit my head. I saw the branch I'd actually hit. so I knew I wanted to stay away from that. And we headed back down again. And I went ahead of the women again because I learned this last time. You've got to keep your own pace. And they were just enjoying the day's hike, which was fine, but I just wanted to get down. Of course, I didn't have a pack, so it was easy for me. I got down to the bottom and I had to wait for them to come down, obviously, to get my pack out of theirs and out of their car. And I bumped into a forest ranger and some other guy from Palaviz, and we just had a really genial conversation. And you're immediately warm to people who work and live in the forest. They're just friendly. They're just friendlier than people in real life. So the ladies arrived. I got my pack out and I kind of strapped it all up and I was away. And heading away from there was, once again, that was quite emotional for me. But you know what? The first 5 northbound thru-hikers or attempting a thru-hike were women. The first 5 people were women. And even better than that, the very first person I met was a woman called Danny or Danielle. And she said to me, "Are you Mighty Blue? I recognise that voice." There's something kind of funny about that. When someone says that to you, you're not expecting it at all. It's really kind of odd. And so I said, "Yes, I am." But even better, well, not even better than that, but I don't know, 20 minutes later, I'm crossing a bridge and I'm doing a little selfie to show the bridge as well. And there was a woman in the background and I said, "Oh, you're in the background." And before I turned around, she recognised my voice as well. She said, "Mighty Blue, I've been wanting to meet you. Let me have a hug." It's kind of odd, but very gratifying, I must admit. But I then passed 3 other women. Didn't see a single man hiker heading north. Isn't that amazing? On a day when it's end of February, you know a lot of people are starting quite early. It was a beautiful day. Was not a single one there. So it was because I'd gone up to Springer that way and hadn't done the approach trail. It's quite an easy hike down Springer and down from there, downwards a lot, and then towards the end you start going up again towards Hawk Mountain Shelter. Ended up doing, I think, plus it was 0.9 of a mile going up to the Springer at the top, and then about 7.5. So I did about 8.6 miles today, which was not bad for a first day. My feet were kind of uncomfortable, but not too bad, I guess. And there was, I think it was a dozen tents set up. Only one person was in the shelter. That's a complete reversal from last time when I came here. There were loads of people in the shelters, but no one. Everybody seems to want to have their tent, and good for them, I suppose. Nobody started a fire. The shelter at the time was empty, so we sat around the table eating, but then people started packing up and going to their tents. And by 6:20, there was me and another British bloke called Coco, because he has chocolate with him, were sitting at a picnic table as the light started to fade. And I think it was 9 or 10 or 11 tents, something like that. And then it got darker and darker, and we were then joined by another 66-year-old like me and a young Canadian until the darkness completely engulfed us. I've forgotten quite how dark the forest gets at night. I'm not worried about it at all. I kind of like it, actually. I've got a little light on in my tent right now, which is nice, and I'm about to get into my sleeping bag. It's only 7:57 at night now, and yet it's very quiet out there. But I think that might not last because there are army rangers relatively close by here. And I remember this happened last time. They were doing night manoeuvres last time. And one of the guys who was with us, a guy called Grizz, he said that when he did the trail the first time in 1996, I think it was, not only did the Rangers helicopters go overhead, but they rappelled down into the bloody camp. Can you imagine that? So that was certainly something to look forward to. So there I am. I'm set up in my tent. I'm comfortable. It's not cold at all. I'm sitting here with my jacket, but so what? I've got plenty more clothes to put on, but I'm going to get myself in nice and comfortable in my sleeping bag in a minute and try to read for a while and hopefully get, 7 or 8 hours sleep. I'll probably wake up about 3 or 4 in the morning. Oh, God, I'm tired now. Can you imagine? But I've done it. I've started. This is it. The first day. I'm on target. Tomorrow I'm going to Gooch Mountain Shelter, or Gooch Gap Shelter. And then I'm going to Suches, which is only 21 miles. So in 3 days, I'll have only done 21 miles, but that's exactly how I want to do it. I do not want to rush. I'm picking up a package there in Suches of a resupply of food, and I feel comfortable with my pack. I didn't actually take the Z-Packs. I don't know whether I mentioned this to you. I didn't actually take the Z-Packs pack. I'm saving that for about 2 months' time when I'm going to get that sent out to me. I took my Osprey. It's a Volt 75, so it's quite a biggish one, and it's 3.5, 4 pounds, something like that. But I'm very comfortable with it. I took it with me on the Camino, and it worked very well today. And I'm not carrying a lot of weight, and I feel pretty darn good. So let's see how tomorrow goes. Okay, bye. It's day 2 now. I'm at Gooch Mountain Shelter. It's an interesting shelter, actually. They've got a lot of areas sort of closed off for revegetating, I guess, and reforestation. There's some great little tent sites, nice flattened areas. So once again, great work by is it the Georgia Mountain Club, whoever maintains the the Appalachian Trail, but really fabulous job. And the trail looks really great. This morning, when I was at the shelter, there was a guy in his 40s, and I, as I do with a number of people, asked him, why he's on the trail, and he had that look in his eye. It was as if he wanted to tell me, and I almost knew what he was going to say when he said it. But he told me something, and I'm going to record his story because he said I could tell his story. So I'm going to record his story by him after this. We've had fantastic weather today again. It started quite misty and cloudy, but as the sun came out, it got water at first, and then it burned the cloud away. And it's now 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and there are people all around the place looking for somewhere to camp. But the weather's just actually gorgeous now, and we're just all getting settled, I guess, for the rest of the afternoon, and then we're all going to, I guess, eat this evening. Today, the biggest climb was Sassafras Mountain, and I got reintroduced to switchbacks. When you go up and the side of the mountain, then turn round and go to the left, then turn around and go to the right. And once again, I thought I'd improved from last time, and I was having to stop every 20, 25 yards to gasp more breath, But, well, it is where it is. So that was the biggest mountain so far, and it was kind of tired. It did wear me out, I must admit. I don't think I slept terribly well last night, even though I seemed to be in my tent for quite a long time. But I found that this whole thing really took it out of me today, so I took plenty of rest. I stopped a lot of times, and I made sure I stopped at Justice Creek, I think it is, nearby, which is where we've got some water from. And I just hung out there for about 25 minutes just to revitalise. I was pretty worn out, and no getting away from it. This is a tiring thing. At Justice Creek, while I was sitting there, I was passed by what looked like a day trip of Koreans. They all had tiny packs, so I don't know how they were getting out of here, but they were all moving very, very fast, and they all almost sort of skipped across the the stream. And I thought that'd be the last I see of them. They'd be getting out and so on. But when I got to the shelter at Gooch Mountain, they had their lunch spread out on a tablecloth. They're all sitting around yapping away like people do when they get together, I guess. I guess I'm still getting used to people and the pace of this new life that I'm living. It's fun, but it's harder work than I remember. But I knew it was going to be tough. So I'm not worried about it. I'm where I intended to be after 2 days, which is a good thing. And neither day, at the end of the day now, I feel like even though it was strenuous, it was fine. So I'm still here. Now, we're going to hear from the guy I mentioned earlier. Okay, this is the guy I was referring to earlier. This is Mark Levette. And when I asked him the question this morning, what are you doing here? This look came over his eyes, and I just knew there was something. And it was like didn't know whether he wanted to tell me. So I asked him afterwards if he would mind telling his story, because it's such a deep story, really. So tell us, why are you here, Mark?
Well, it was a series of events starting about 18 months ago. Father got sick. I wasn't happy at my corporate job, so I left that job to be closer to my family.
Yeah.
Watched my dad decline. Watched my mother deal with that stress. And then around December, a woman who I love very much, who was my wife, got a cold, and it was cancer, and she died June 10th. And then my father died January 28th. So basically, 2 out of my 3 core people were gone off the earth in a matter of 6 months. Couple that with a 20-year or so career in corporate America, a lot of travel and a lot of work.
A lot of stress.
But, the bank account's there, so you justify it. Ignoring a lot of things, or ignoring everything other than just work, really.
Yeah.
And I went to a really bad place, and
your mother got sick, didn't she, as well?
Yeah, a bit other stress, but we got her healed. I helped get her healed. Good. So she's straight now.
Right.
But it was just I was just going downhill. I was disconnecting from the world. I was disconnecting from myself. And so several people who know me said, you know what? And I've been talking about walking the Appalachian Trail for years.
Oh, right. Okay.
Last summer, I went out for a week with a very good friend of mine who I'll be meeting up with in Virginia. He took me out for a week, and I loved it. And I just got it in my head, and it just, I don't know. Here I am. It just grabbed me.
Sometimes it's just the right time to do it, isn't it? Eh?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about it so far?
I feel good. I've had 2 events occur already that were quite beautiful, relatively unique compared to the world of, you get up, you go to work.
Yeah, sure.
You work out.
This ain't like that.
You go have dinner, go have drinks, and that's your day. Very different out here. But so far, I feel at peace.
That's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
Yeah, I haven't been stressed.
You know what? You don't need to. I mean, this is you get up, you eat, you walk, you eat, you walk, you eat, you sleep, and then you get up again.
And I'm okay with that.
Rinse and repeat. Yeah, you should enjoy that. Because I tell you what, one of the things I wanted to say, Mark has such a great smile on his face all the time, it's the cloud that came in his face that I really wanted him to tell his story. So I really appreciate you telling us.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate meeting you.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
So, we're now at the end of day 3. I know I missed my deadline. I normally get these out first thing Thursday morning, and I apologise, but this is just not going to be possible here. I'm going to keep as up to date as possible and try to get them out on Thursday. With a bit of luck, Ryan will get this out later on Thursday evening. I came in this morning. I came in from Gooch Mountain Shelter. I had a really restless night. I had terrible trouble setting up my tent. It was a nightmare. I set it up, but for some reason I couldn't get the bloody the stakes in the ground as well as I normally do, and kept flying off. And I don't know. Eventually, I got it together. I got in the tent, started setting everything up, and one of the stakes must have come loose, and suddenly the whole tent collapsed on me. So that wasn't a great start. So I had to get out, get my headlamp on, reset it. It was a whole lot better then, and for the rest of the night, it was absolutely fine. Didn't get any condensation, which is great, by the way. We were expecting to get rain by 11 o'clock at night, so the forecast yet again was wrong. Didn't rain till about 5 o'clock this morning, which is never helpful. And unfortunately, I had a terrible night. I say it was restless, but I must have been sleeping awkwardly. I pulled something in my back, and I'm not sure what it is, but hopefully that's going to clear up as soon as possible. And in the morning, some of the hikers, Coco, Jaffrey, Maria, and one or two others, left early to get all the way to Neil Gap, about a 15-mile day. For me, 15 miles in a day this early is just not the right way to do it. Not for me anyway. So I was just going to head for Woody Gap, just 6 miles and a shuttle into Suches. My wife had sent me a package to Suches and I was going to pick that up. And so it seemed okay to do that. And the hike was pretty straightforward, but I was constantly wary of the muddy track and especially the wet rocks. I got to the top of another climb, gasping all the way, and I've been noticing this has been my way forward now. I tend to be gasping for breath every, 20, 25 yards. But I'm getting up there, so there's not, as I always say, there's not a mountain I can't get over so far. And I got to the top of another climb, and I saw this young woman, Cloud, and her boyfriend, Leaf, or husband, I'm not even sure whether they're married or not. And they're a young couple I met yesterday who tend to camp so far away from shelters because Cloud carries a violin with her and she wants to play it on the hike, which sounds very reasonable. And I said to her yesterday that I'd love to be able to record her and see if she'd like to be on the podcast. So I took my chance and said, "Do you want to be recorded now?" She said, "Oh, I've got a runny nose, but yeah, I'd love to." So she said, "What do you want me to play?" I said, "I don't know, something kind of ethereal, I guess, something, I don't know what, but we were in a mountain. We were at the top of a mountain. There was a cloud there was tons of cloud all around us, and it was a very misty sort of feeling. Play some sort of ballad." She said, "I don't know any ballads, but I'll make one up," which I thought was pretty cool. And so runny nose, high in the clouds, she played this. Fan-frickin-tastic.
I played some ugly notes.
That was beautiful.
You're in
Thank
the
you.
middle of nowhere.
Oh, that's cool.
With a runny nose.
Yeah,
no sleep.
And
She's like, I
by the way,
missed one note.
We're recording the runny nose bit as well, so that's always good. Thank you. As you could hear, I absolutely loved that. I really, really did. It was just a great moment. But now I had a mission because I needed to get to Woody Gap in an hour with about 1.9 miles to go, and that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So I headed off. I got there with 15 minutes to spare, fortunately, so that was pretty good. But there were some pretty nasty passes where you had to. It's quite a narrow path, and there was quite a few rocks. And of course, we've had a lot of rain, and it was raining now, so I had to be very careful getting down there. I'd had a phone signal at Gooch Gap, which was 4 miles behind Woody Gap. So I took the chance and arranged for a shuttle to be there by 12 noon. I thought I'd get there about 11:30, but I was pushing it a bit. But I got there, as I say, with 15 minutes to spare. I met another young couple, Ryan and Stacey, at the Gap, and I told them about the shuttle. They'd been about to walk the 2 miles down the mountain. So a red station showed up and then just hung around for a minute or two before moving to the bigger car park on the other side of the road. the cloud was so intense that we couldn't really see across the road to it. And I called the hostel and they told me that their guy was at the gap. So I presumed that this was our man. He obviously hadn't realised he'd be on shuttle duty today because the car was, let's say, it's seen better days. But he was a really nice guy, chatted with us all the way down into Wolf Pen Gap Country Store. I came here before, and I think my memory of it was relatively nice and welcoming. But the woman behind the counter, she was not happy to see us, but she charged her $50, so she seemed pretty happy with that. And there's an $18 deposit. I don't know what the deposit's for. When we leave. Now this seemed a little bit steep to me at the time, so $32. But when we reached our rooms, it was outrageous. The place was, at the very best, disgusting. Now, I know that we're not going to be living in the lap of luxury on this trip, but you'd think that they might have vacuumed the floor occasionally. A guy I was chatting with said that they wouldn't even share the Wi-Fi password with us. It's kind of hard to believe, but this place has gone badly downhill since I was last here. But that's the way it goes sometimes. I'm not really complaining too much about it. I'm saying what I feel and what I see, and they didn't seem to want us here anyway. Maybe their experience with the hikers isn't good. Well, if that's the case, don't have a hostel, I guess. But, as I say, that's the way it is. I'm going to put up with it. I'll stay the night, but I'll never be here again. But at least I'm dry. So there were the first 3 days. My highlights were the look on Mark's face when I asked him, first of all, why he was hiking. It had something that was so deep hidden behind it that I really knew I wanted to know his story. And he was happy to share it with us. And he had this happy, smiling face. I just hope he gets there. I really do. This is really deep and important for him. The other great moment was listening to Cloud play at the top of the mountain with just the crowds rolling in to keep us company. I'll see you next time.